taking a look at the Citizen Promaster dive watch. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. The box, we'll do an unboxing here. The box does look a little bit different than the past Promasters I've owned. I've owned one. I've owned the blue variant of this with the orange hand, and I've actually kind of regretted selling it because to me it seems like it's the ultimate grab and go tool watch. It being Ecodrive, and it just needs sunlight. You don't need to wind it. You don't need to worry about absolutely anything, and it's super tough. You kind of just grab it and go. And I sold it, and I really regretted it. And lately I've been going into this rabbit hole of colorful watches, as you can see here. So I decided to try to pick this one up, and I finally found it, and here it is. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because this box certainly is different than what I remember it. Standard sliding box here, and here it is. First instruction manual. Nothing too special or too important here, just how to operate the watch. And here it is. Again, there's nothing else here. Let's put this aside and take a look at this watch. Here it is. So again, this is my first impression on it. I haven't seen it. Right away, I will say the color is a little bit different than I expected. Not in a good way or in a bad way, it's just different. I thought this would be more dark red. This is certainly more candy red, which ultimately, if I'm going for the bright color dive watches, this is good. In terms of strap, it does come on the usual Citizen Promaster strap with the dive times here. I've never been a big fan of this strap. It's a little bulky, it's a little stiff, so I'm definitely going to throw it out onto something else. Here's the usual case spec for the Ecodrives. So like I did mention, these are solar powered. It does make this a little easier to grab and go. So just make sure you expose it to sun every once in a while. Regular tag here. So the bezel does feel very solid. It has a good give, but it's still pretty. You're not gonna move it by accident. The crown is signed, as I believe most of these Promaster watches are. So my first impressions are pretty good. I'm not sure if you can capture it here on the camera. Yeah, you should be able to. But the minute hand is different than the hour hand, or maybe it's the hour hand that's different from the other hands. But this is something that I think all of the Promasters dive watches that are Ecodrive have this kind of theme going. And at first I thought it was a little strange, but no, it looks like it is a case here. It's just a little hard to see because it's still white. It's just the outline of it is in silver. That's a nice touch. I'm personally not a big fan of those changes of the different handsets, but this one I think I could do with this one because it's hard to identify, and it's kind of a thing you really have to look into to notice. One of the things I do notice here, maybe it's been a while since I got my other one, but the indices are just very solid. They look they're very tall, and I think that's a good thing. If they're not painted, they're definitely not painted on, and we'll see how the Loom works on them, but just the look of it, I really do enjoy that. So the watch is a screw down crown, has a screw down crown here, pretty standard. It is 200 meters water resistant, making it a pretty suitable dive watch. Thickness, they have this listed at around 12 millimeters. The diameter is 44, so that one might scare off some people, but I know I say this often, but really, if you look at the lugs here, they're very short. So I don't find this wearing any larger than maybe an SKX 007 from Seiko, and we'll do some size comparisons in a minute here to see that. But overall, the dimensions, the color, everything, I gotta say it's quite positive. There's nothing really standing out or stopping me from liking this watch very much. So I brought a couple of watches out, all brightly colored and all dive watches. So here it is next to the Seiko Samurai. And I'm not sure if you can capture this here on camera, but it does, the Citizen does look a little bit smaller. And to be fair, the Samurai is one of the bigger Seiko divers. It's definitely thinner, but to be fair, that is a quartz versus an automatic movement. So it might be a little bit smaller, but it won't be a big change. So what I'm trying to show here is if you can wear a Samurai, you're certainly going to be able to wear this Citizen watch. I also brought out this Raven Trekker. I just got this in a couple of weeks ago, and I brought this out to show kind of one of the smaller dive watches. This one is listed at 39 millimeters. And as you can see, it is smaller, but not by much. Just look at the lug difference there. The Raven is quite a bit bigger compared to the Citizen, so I think that makes up a lot of the size. Let's see the thickness. They look just about the same. Maybe even the Raven's a little bit smaller. The thickness is a little bit less, and if I remember correctly, the Raven does have a thickness of 11 millimeters without the crystal. So that does add up quite well. I also brought out this Seiko 5 dive watch. And the same thing, you can see they're very comparable in size, even though I believe this is a 44 millimeter, 43 or 44. So both were very similar. Another thing I do notice is that the Citizen here is very round. The lack of long lugs as compared to the Seiko Samurai here, this is has sharper edges. The Citizen does not, so this is going to wear a little more round than the Seiko. So let's check out the lume of this watch and how it stands up against the other watches. All right. Here it is. I think in some of my other videos I have talked about how I really do enjoy the fact that Citizen uses this blue lume. I gotta say it is sometimes a little lackluster, but not by much. You won't get the strength that you do in Seiko watches, but the blue tone is really nice. Just look at that. Also, the lume on the bezel does seem to be a little bit more green. I'm not sure if you can capture that there. So you have a green lume on the bezel, blue everywhere else. It's evenly distributed. There's absolutely nothing bad to say about this. It just looks really, really good. We'll see how it holds up in strength against, let's say, the Samurai first. Here you go. You know, it's not the darkest conditions right now, so if it doesn't look too bright, it might be that. I don't like going in absolute darkness just because you kind of lose the feel of the watch. Here it is again. I gotta say, it's not, I wouldn't even say, just by looking at it here, I wouldn't say it's actually even weaker than the Seiko, which historically my Citizen lume hasn't been the strongest, but this one might be a little bit different. Compared to another Seiko, the Seiko 5. Again, the blue really does go a long way. And maybe it's just me, but I quite prefer blue over green every single time, just maybe because it's just more rare. You don't see it often. And I believe here in the Raven it is a little bit more blue, so we'll see how that looks. Yeah, both of these are blue. This one, obviously the bezel is loomed. I gotta say, if you do have a chance to pick up one of these Raven watches, they're fantastic and great value too. But here is the Loom, and gotta say, even the Citizen does look to be holding up a little bit better, which is surprising, honestly. I would think of the four, this would be the weakest Loom, but it doesn't seem like it. Read this one last time. Also, one point to clarify, this is not the limited edition Citizen watch. There's one that's red, but I believe that one is an automatic variant. That's a limited edition. It's a different tone of red too. When I was looking up the dimensions for this, I did run into that one, so I don't want to confuse people to think this is a limited edition one. This should be a standard buy, though I did struggle a little bit to find it. Not too much, but it wasn't as available as all the other variants. That's nice and thin there. Alright, let's throw this on the wrist and see how that fits on my 6.5 to 6.75 inch wrist. That's definitely, it does have some substantialness to it. My rule of thumb is always that you can see the strap when you wear it, which you definitely can. The thinness does help. Here it is, and here's a crown too. And honestly, this is a lot more wearable than I thought, just looking at it. I do have a very small wrist, so if this fits well on me, it's probably fit well on most other wrists. Like I said, nothing bad to say about this watch. I really am going to enjoy it, and the bright color is always something fun to have in your collection.